Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be doing the mid-year freakout tag, and if you're not familiar as to what that is in the book community, booktube community, it's basically just halfway through the year you just answer a series of book related questions regarding the reading that you've done this year. And if you hear a bunch of jingling in the background, by the way, it's my kitten. He's currently playing with like a 3-tiered jingle ball thing right now, so I'm sure at some point he will come over here and probably jump at me or do something crazy. So these questions, for the most part, I pulled off of the internet, and I think it was like the Owl's Corner or something like that. I'll link the original article that I saw where I reference what questions to use. And I looked at a couple different pages and they all seem to be pretty similar, and there's only a couple that I made tweaks to or just cut out completely. And so I have 11 questions here with just some answers and some notes, and also just what I've read this year in general. That's actually what this stack here is, and then these I will be referencing, and then these are my current reads right now that I will talk about in the end. I feel like at one point I'm gonna really need to invest in a separate mic instead of trying to use my camera's microphone for situations like this, so I can cut out background noise a little bit better. I think he's stopped playing with that finally, so it won't be as loud, but he's still playing with random toys. So the first question is best book so far, and I chose The Cat Who Saved Books by Sasuke Natsukawa, and I know I totally butchered that name. There's actually quite a few Japanese authors that I've read this year, so if I butcher any names, I'm really sorry, but I do want to, you know, give proper credit. So I chose this book because it was existential with a good ending, and it made me appreciate books even more. I did do a reading vlog. It was a 24-hour reading vlog a couple months ago where this was one of the books that I read in it, so I do explain more so my experience and thoughts on it if you want to check that out. And overall, I just thought it was a really good book with an interesting kind of premise, and it's not super long either. It's close to 200 pages, but it also has some of the coolest cover artwork that I've ever seen, and it's matte, and of course, I mean, it has a cat on it, so drew me right to it. The second question is new release you haven't read but want to, and I chose Mysteries of Thorn Manor. This is another book that I mentioned earlier this year, I think more so in winter, where I did like a little kind of book mail book haul. This book was released this year in February, and I was on the new release pre-order list, so I got it right when it came out. And if you don't know what Mysteries of Thorn Manor is, it is by Margaret Rogerson, who is one of my favorite authors that I have read, and I do have all of her current books, I believe, and this is just a novella that is a continuation of the story of Sorcery of Thorns, which is a novel she wrote, which is somewhere, if you can see it right back here. I have actually all of my Rogersons right here, so Sorcery of Thorns right here. And it's just a continuation after what happens in that initial novel, so I really need to read it. Some of what I'm looking for in this is just kind of resolution as to what happened with Silas, who is Nathaniel's demon, and he had kind of a weird ending in Sorcery of Thorns. That's all I'm gonna say because I don't like spoilers. But I want to see what happened with him, and then also just a continuation of Nathaniel's and Elizabeth's love story, which I don't feel like is much of a spoiler. I feel like that just seems very obvious that that happens. So yes, I do need to read this before the end of the year. I actually chose 2 books for this question because I did get another one, and I didn't realize this came out also earlier this year, but it is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. And I've seen it kind of like around on the internet, but I didn't know anything about it. I think I feel like I previously talked about this, but maybe it's in footage that I'm not using anymore for whatever vlog I was doing. And as you can see, it has sprayed edges that are just gorgeous. And I chose this as one that I want to read this year because not only, you know, is it a new release, but Also, I just never went through my dragon era. I feel like a lot of people who read fantasy have read at least one book that is like centered around dragons, and I just haven't. Like, I saw the movie Aragon and that was it, but I didn't even know it was a book series as a kid, so like I just missed out on a whole thing I could have done, like a whole period of time. So I'm excited to jump into that, and also this book is just like gorgeous, so that makes it even more exciting to read somehow. Like, I don't know, book lovers get it, you know. The next question is your biggest disappointment, and this is a book that I have not yet decided. Sorry, I was listening to see what he's messing with. I like to have eyes on him because he is still very young. He's almost 3 months old, but like they just get into stuff, and so I'm very protective of him. What are you doing? Don't touch that. No, come this way. Come this way. Okay, you're just gonna stare at me. I feel like he's gonna jump at my hand again, honestly. But my biggest disappointment this year so far has been Julie and Julia. He's turning the camera. I have you on like a swivel chair. Please don't pull it down. Okay. Okay, we're good. He jumped. Nope. I stop. I've never really like filmed with him here a longer clip, so this is really funny. But basically my biggest disappointment so far is the book Julie and Julia. It is a movie that I actually really enjoy, and I mean, like, in the movie you do get kind of like the same inner dialogue that is in the book, and it is based on a true story. This woman decided to spend an entire year going through Julia Child's cookbook, and it is like, I think it's a good story, but I only got about this far in it, and I mean, I did have a book club that I was starting this month, so I kind of had to reprioritize, you know, what I'm reading. I just don't really like the snarky, kind of self-deprecating humor. Like, I don't even feel like it's humor. It's just like overall like pretty negative and doesn't make it very fun to read. And also I feel like it's overly wordy. Like, I'm having to look up so much vocabulary, which usually like is not a bad thing. Like in the Cat Who Saved Books, like I was looking up vocabulary in that one, but it genuinely felt like educational and interesting and like added to the writing and to the story. And even in that story, he talks about how, you know, a book should challenge you, and that's, you know, that's like a good thing. And that's one of the quotes that I appreciate in it. But in this, like, it's just too much. Like, you can tell she's a well-educated woman and writer, but I don't really like it. Like, I feel like the excessive use of certain terminology is just like, it just takes away from the story. Like, I can't just read it. I can't get through a paragraph without having to look up like 1 or 2 words each time. And I know that I'm young, so I'm still building up my vocabulary, and I'm sure as time goes on and I read more books, I'll, you know, be able to understand more and have more knowledge. But I just don't like it. Like, it's not that fun of a read, and I was really excited to read this, so I am very bummed. But I'm not gonna completely DNF it. I just might try it, you know, reading it at a different time. You know, maybe wait a couple years and read it then. I don't know. Maybe read it when I'm 30, because that's when this book is based around, is, you know, her turning 30 and her life changing in a lot of different ways. And, you know, I don't know what my life's gonna look like then, so that might be an interesting kind of way to connect back to it. I don't know. So not completely negative, but kind of disappointing right now. I just read the next question, and yeah, the biggest surprise this year for me was Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. Now, again, in that 24-hour reading blog, this was one of the books that I read, and I did share my very mixed opinions. And honestly, all I can do when I think about this book is just kind of like laugh and giggle, because it is simultaneously kind of just like absurdly sexual, but it's also really funny, and I liked the characters and it was a good read. And so like I'm not mad about it, and I explained more in that video. Like it kind of took me off guard how intense it was, but I also really liked it, and it's just different from the other one romance that I've read so far. So I'm excited to, you know, go read more romance books, but this was definitely very interesting. And she actually wrote another book that is more, or she either wrote it or it's coming out. I'm not super sure. I couldn't find a lot of information on it, but it's one of the side characters in this. He's the main character in that one, and he goes to like a summer camp counseling job and has a romance. So but yeah, overall this was the biggest surprise of me actually really liking it, even though there were times where I was like, what in the heck am I reading? So take that as you will. Also, to add on to the previous question, the 5th question is newest fictional crush, and my newest fictional crush is Nate Hawkins, the tall, muscly hockey player that is very overprotective and sweet and kind of, you know, thick-headed sometimes. And yeah, I'm not gonna be ashamed. I'm not. If you read that book, you'll understand. So the next question is your newest favorite character, and it's actually going to be Comey from Comey Can't Communicate. I just love how sweet and shy she is, but she's also kind of weirdly extroverted, even though she does have a communication problem. And I've just really liked seeing the development of her making new friends. And overall, I think it's just a really cute series. And I think I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it, but I need to get the rest of them. There's over 20 of these, but I'm kind of on a book buying ban right now, so I can't. But I really want to read all of them. Like they're so quick and easy to read. Like they're pretty small, and it's just really cute. And there's like some skit type sections, and it's just goofy. It's just like a goofy series, but yeah, she's definitely one of my new favorite characters. So question number 7 is a book that made you cry, and it's gonna be Weathering with You. I didn't actually cry when I was reading this, but I did get very emotionally involved in what was happening with the characters, and especially Hina. The ending, I'm not going to spoil, even though, you know, it's a movie and I'm sure many people have seen it. It's very popular, but just in general, like the sacrifices that they make and the choices that they have to make at such a young age, it was just really beautiful and kind of overwhelming. So it didn't make me cry, but it made me feel like sad, happy, I guess, a lot of the time. And just overall, I think it's a really beautiful, interesting book. There's just a lot of overarching themes that I think are really important to, you know, human existentialism. And I just love stuff like that. So this book, I will say, is just very emotional, and you should be prepared if you read it. So for question number 8, it is what book made you laugh? And I did already previously talk about Icebreaker quite a bit, so I added a different book to this question, which is Cat Gamer. There is a volume 2 out, and I believe the volume 3 is coming out this September? Maybe not September, but I know it's this fall. And it just I don't know, it was kind of like the perfect book to read during this period of time where I also have a kitten, and I haven't had a kitten for a long time. And so the main character just like freaking out over what to do and like if he's okay, and then, you know, him getting into stuff and, you know, deleting her game that she just, you know, got leveled up on and all that kind of stuff. Like it's just funny because it is very true. And overall, I think it's just like a cute series. And at the very back of the book, it also shows the author's kitten that they ended up getting. So that's what inspired the series. And I mean, look how cute it is. Like it looks almost exactly like the cat in this series. And overall, I just think it is adorable, and it did make me laugh out loud a couple times. All right, and I did already talk about The Fourth Wing, but the next question is the most beautiful book you bought this year. And I mean, it is kind of a toss-up between Mysteries of Thorn Manor and this, but I think this one wins out mostly for the sprayed edges and the fact that I also just love the black and gold together. So this is definitely one of the most beautiful books I own and one of the most beautiful books I got this year. All right, so the 10th question is, what books do you really need to read by the end of this year? And the first one, that is the most important, has to be Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. It is the 7th book in the Harry Potter series, and I started reading it in January, just like only like 30-40 pages in, and I just kind of stopped because it's like this even when I watch the movies. Like, I don't like watching the last ones really because they just get too real and sad, and I don't like it when some of my favorite characters die, and it's just overwhelming. And I like to live in the first couple films where it's happier and more fun, but I know I just need to finish it. I read basically all of the series last year, and it's the first time I'd ever read them, so it would be the first time me going through this, but it's also just super long, and yeah, so I just need to dedicate the next 6 months to just getting through it. And it might take me that long, honestly, because I procrastinate a little bit. And then just in general, I still have a lot of my goals left on here that I mentioned in a previous video. I've only accomplished one, which was read one memoir / biography / autobiography, which was Tom Felton's Beyond the Wand, which I read in like January. So I'm pretty far behind on that, but I am making progress. And overall, I just need to pick up my reading pace and get these done. What are you doing? Eat the strings. Eat the strings. Crazy. Crazy boy. And the final question is, how many books have you read out of your goal? And how many goals have you completed? So I already kind of answered that. I've only completed one goal so far, which is I'm not happy about, but you know, a lot of the times I do read out of mood. So I've been reading a lot of manga and just like kind of cutesy things. I am currently reading a sci-fi book, so that will cross off one of the goals. But so far I've read 15 out of 40. I think I shot a little high this year because I think I read 25 to 30. I don't remember. I know I said it in a previous video as well, but I don't remember how many I read last year. But I was like, I'm gonna shoot for a higher goal and really try and like get as many as I can done. And I mean, we're already halfway through the year and I'm not even halfway towards my goal. So I think I need to just like strategize and actually plan out the next 6 months of reading. And especially since I'm starting a book club, I mean, I know that's guaranteed one book a month. So if I can at least keep up with that and then just add on some other ones, like I should be fine. But I do have a very detailed goals list that I just need to plan out. Currently, I'm reading Ready Player One. I have 174 pages left and I am doing a reading vlog right now for these. It's like an end of June chaos reading vlog. And then I'm also reading Twilight for the first time, which I'm not super far in either, but I am enjoying both of them. They're both interesting, you know, this is a familiar story to me. And then Ready Player One, I've never actually read before, but it's for my book club that we started this month. And I'm at a point now, like if you asked me 2 days ago, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I really love this book. I think it's gonna be, you know, one of my favorites. But right now I am kind of not loving it so much, and so I don't know what my opinion is going to be by the end, but I will let you know in that other video. So make sure to subscribe if you want to see that video and any other future videos I have coming out, as well as just bookish related content in general. So thank you so much for joining me in this video today. I actually had quite a bit of fun looking back through what I've read so far and just seeing what type of progress that I've made / what I have been, you know, interested in and reading. And it's just been, you know, fun. And also I have this little guy. Hello. He's trying to be playful right now. But his name is Moon, by the way. I don't know if I've ever explicitly said that, but we do call him Squish / Squishy, and he's just like literally the sweetest, most fun little guy. and he gets into everything, as you can see. So I'm going to go for now, but again, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you all very soon. Make sure to follow my social medias linked down below if you want any updates on future videos. And yeah, happy reading. I hope you all accomplish your goals for this year and just have a good time in general. And let me know down below any of these books that you have read / are wanting to read as well, and your opinions on them. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!